students and scholars, teachers and trainers, professors and professionals, those who are listening from the field of science, spirituality, arts, commerce and engineering, the most honorable present Prime Minister St. Dr. Modi ji, respected ministers and doctors, adorable parents and affectionate sons and daughters. I, Dr. Rakesh from USA, heartily, cordially welcome all of you. It is really nice time, nice place, nice section, listening with 100% present sense of mind. Dear friends, in this present time, the world is conflicting. The world is in tension because of the history says that there were two powers in the world that started Second World War in 1938 and it was extended up to 1945. Reason behind over nationalistic feelings of the Germany and Italy. These were the two nations and they were equally responsible for creating the upheaval badly, deadly, drastically, devastatingly. Dear friends, one idea, one nation, one man can change the whole world. It was addressed by Swami Vivekananda in 1893 in the USA. While addressing the people, my brothers and sisters of the America, there he maintained and exposed, revealed the most spiritualistic values, moral values of our nation by showing the purity of his character, by his voice. It was his eternal voice, celestial voice, that was the example of trivialities and realities of life. His soul was enlightened. Being a social reformist, he addressed worldly people. In this present time, our present Prime Minister, who is visiting different European nations, and it is well known fact in the history for the Indian scholars and learners that foreigners came in India in 1600 in the form of East India Company, came in Delhi for spreading out their business. After a long time, they went back, handed over us the ruling of our Indian government. Dear friends, we cannot forget the history. The glimpse of history says that foreigners, Europeans, those who spread it out, the industrialization all over the world through India, and India provided a great platform to invest their money. It was very easy for them to get the cheap labor, to earn the muscle power for the production. Later on, what happened after 1945? We study in literature, when India got freedom in 1947, it was the brightened period, undoubtedly, for our Indians. And the greatest power of the world, veto power, USSR became, up to 1990, 1945 to 1990, it was the USSR, Russia, who overpowered the whole world with political, economical, social, all powers were with them. And there was a great unity among the different nations of the USSR. After 1990, we study a great revolutionary and visionary change in the history, when the USA became the world power after 1990. Dear friends, you can observe our nation is known by the nation of starters, beginners and initiators in the different fields. For establishing peace and prosperity, for recreating the youngsters, by the spiritual standard, we are known all over the world. Our moralities, spiritualities are really the advantageous and meritorious for the worldly people. In this present time, where Russia is trying to overpower Ukraine, what kind of situation we have created? It's the result of inhumanities, and our nation creates, generates, operates the true and real values all over the world by addressing the worldly people, unity in diversity. Our present Prime Minister, who is visiting different European nations in the world, firstly he started his journey in Germany, then Denmark, and later on he proceeded in France. All these are the European nations. These nations ruled over India. It was the time when there was ruling of the European nations of our India, and their aim was only to spread it out the business. So they came in India. We cannot forget that history. But for establishing peace and prosperity in the world, we can take a great initiative. We can play a great role in establishing peace and prosperity in the world powers. No doubt India is a developing nation, but from the spiritual point of view, From the moral point of view, India is the nation which is known as the developed nation. Dear friends, scholars, learners, those who are studying in the different foreign universities, in the Copenhagen University of Denmark, Pennsylvania, Cambridge, Oxford, scholars, those who are researching, really it is a field of research for them to visit the land of India, because Indian land is known as the land of starters, beginners and initiators. Whether it is developing nation, but from the spiritual ethical point of view, all the foreigners come on this land to get the peace of mind and tranquility of their heart. Really it helped them to understand the truth, and it is really said all the holy scriptures of our holy land that our body is the temple of God, heart is the seat of God. Do we believe in the teachings of the holy religions? Are we the believer? Are we the follower of such spiritual values of the scriptures? It must be understood by the Russia. It is a great interference in the nature. For maintaining our nature, for the purification of the nature, we plant more and more trees. For the protection of the nature, everyone is responsible for it. Environmentally and atmospherically, if we create any kind of pollution, it is totally against the old religions. It is our first duty to make our nature neat and clean. We are to keep it pollution free. We are to plant more and more trees. It is said. It is a natural law which is powerfully and strongly studied in the Harvard University. Dear friends, it is not the responsibility of any individual nation, but every person of the nation is responsible for maintaining the spiritual standard of our nation, for recreating the spiritual, national, patriotistic and moral values of our nation. It can become possible to maintain the peace in the world. But how? Until and unless we do not make friendly and family relations with the nature. And it is openly, strongly said in all the holy religions that our body is made by 5 elements, by air, fire, soil, sky and water. In the form of these 5 elements all over the world, we are classified to keep them neat and clean. These 5 elements does exist in our body in the form of material, and we are just spending our life in earning and spending in the materialistic world. We have become totally materialistic and substantial. We are not trying to find out the truth of life through the science and spirituality. Dear friends, if these things are very useful, advantageous and meritorious for the person and personalities, Why do we not understand the truth of the nature? Through the celestial bodies of the nature, in the daytime we see the sun, at night time we see the moon, the stars, the earth, the ocean. These are some of the examples of the celestial bodies of the nature. But nature is the widest. This is the external nature that we have around our physical body, and we try to cope with them. We try to be familiar and friendly with them, fearlessly, horrorlessly, terrorlessly. We are to make our thought of the soul for reuniting with the super spiritual power of God. It is the true aim of our life to get rid in this life from the falsification, false affection, ego, variousness, anger, negativities. These are the ruining and spoiling things that are being circled. Our soul has circled by it. Our soul has rounded by these things, materialistic things, and we are just running in the cycle of spending and collecting and earning. We don't know the true values of our human life. Everyone is special in this world who has come on this earth. Our first and foremost duty to get up early in the morning. Our youngsters, children, old age people, if spend maximum time with nature early in the morning, then nature provides invaluable gifts from it. Personally, professionally, publicly, economically, politically and socially, every way our nation can go up from heaven, from down to up, root to fruit. How our present Prime Minister has proved it, appealed to the worldly people that every person is responsible and we are to count the blessings and grace of Lord. He who is, he who was and he who will. The power of spiritualism is really the sublime and supreme power of the nation. God who is omniscient, omnipresent, omnipotent, omnipresent forever always with us in past and future. He never leaves us alone. So one idea, one nation, one man, one person can change the whole scenario of the world. History is evident of these things. Now, in the righteous manner, on the righteous path, if we think better, nicer, finer for the worldly people, then we are the true follower of our teachings of our holy religions. Gautam Buddha, who started Buddhism, power of knowledge, who came in India, born in India, enlightened in India. Mahavir Swami, who started Jainism, also came in India, enlightened in India, born in India. So India proud on such personalities. This Indian land is the evidence and witness of such spiritual powers of Lord Krishna, Lord Rama. Time to time different saints came on this earth Shri Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj, who born in 1469, who was the starter of Sikhism, came in India for spreading out the message of humanity. Humanity is our religion, humanity is our caste. He spread out this message. And we study the evolution, how the earth came in form, behind the existence of the earth. It is rightly said that God created himself in the form of light, then this light collided with 4 lakh species, then they started activated, vibrated. It is written in all the chapter of the Genesis of the holy religions. Later on, God created himself in the form of physical body that can reunite with the super spiritual power of God. In 1600, in the century 15th and 16th, William Shakespeare, who born in 1564, who was the founder of dramas in English literature. Every person of English literature study about William Shakespeare, William Wordsworth, John Dryden, John Donne, Alexander Pope, John Milton, number of personalities we study in English literature. They were not less than the doctors, scientists and ministers, because they were near, they were very close with the nature. They were very friendly with nature. They appreciated, admired, praised nature openly, undoubtedly, and earned a lot of praise from the nature. It was John Milton, who was partially a religious person in English literature, who spent his maximum time in writing religious poems. He says that everything whatsoever we have around us, that is the result of the blessings of Lord, grace of God. Whether he have any inferiority, drawbacks, shortcomings, or faults and flaws, that is also the grace and blessing of Lord. So nobody can blame on the future, on the fortune, and on the luck of any person, because it is rightly said in our holy religion that God helps them who helps themselves. Dear friends, our present Prime Minister, who is visiting different European nations, his aim to establish peace and prosperity in the world and to bring name fame of our nation. So it should be the aim of every person of our nation to maintain the spiritual standard of our nation and morality, spirituality, for increasing the tourism in India. He went to attract the people for the cultural values of our nation. Worldly people, when they feel depressed, frustrated, after consuming materialistic goods, then they try to search such a land which can provide them solace, peace, prosperity of their mind and heart. It is rightly said by the critics that tragedy creates pity and fear. It brings catharsis. It brings purification. So we cannot blame of our sorrows and pains on others. And we are to understand through the words of Swami Vivekananda, who individually went throughout the world to serve the nation and society with the true spiritual knowledge, how our soul can get salvation and emancipation from the cycle of birth and death, sorrows and happinesses, how we can get rid from this cycle. The whole treatment is available in the nature. This is naturopathy, homeopathy, Ayurveda, our ancient pathies that helps us in maintaining the spiritual standard. But in rare cases, when we are unable, when we feel unable, then we are to take the help of allopathy. It is rightly said that 90% a man himself is the doctor. Only in 10% cases he needs treatments, doctors and hospitals. If we collect the energy from the freedom fighters, free thinkers, messengers, saints, starters, beginners, initiators, foretellers, forecasters, free thinkers of our Indian land, then definitely everyone can get rid from the sorrows and pains, depressions, frustrations. Dear friends, it is in the power of meditation. By the repetition of the holy words of the different religions, we recollect the true values of our spirituality, morality and ethics that makes our nation, that makes our physical, mental, spiritual filled, pure and pious. Ultimately, I would like to thank again God who is providing us, who has given us power to speak, read, write and listen. Thanks God for your unrelenting, unceasing and unstopping reverences, blessings. It was a great message which was provided by the great social reformist who proved in the nation that unread, unspoken, unwritten, unlearned is more powerful than learned, read, written and spoken. It is rightly said by John Keats in English literature through his poem. He says that unheard music is more sweeter than heard. Because our Indian philosophy, through the Indian religions, teachings, we learn that our nation turns us towards nature and we understand nature is our God. Dear friends, we must know the definition of success. Success means not any destination. It is not a platform, but it is the name of regularity and continuity. For our scholars, learners, and all the professionals, those who are working in the different fields of health, education, industry, agriculture, in means of communication, means of transportation, all over the world, those who are publicly working, it is their prime duty to think the true realities through the truth of science and spirituality. Thanks, dear friends. Nice to meet you, nice to see you, nice to listen you.